Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown Podcast. Whoever said it's too early to look at the league table? They obviously don't know the Boro are top of it. I'm delighted to be joined by Tom and Matt on this one as we discuss Boro's fourth victory in a row. And guys, there's only one place to start, as always, our key takeouts from the week. Matt, do you want to kick us off with yours?
Yeah, for me, it's just that I come out the Riverside feeling probably as good as I can remember for a long time. After yesterday, I thought the atmosphere and the ground was as good as it's been for a long time. The North Stand, even at the end, was absolutely deafening. Even towards stoppage time in the final 10 minutes, roaring the boys on every tackle, every interception, every clearance was cheered like a goal. And the celebrations at the end as well. It was, it's just good to see the good feeling around the club, and I guess the fans starting to believe and trust in this team, and same for Rob Edwards as well. So for me, it's just good to see us, I think, keep this good run going, improving as well. I think we are improving in our performance, which is important. But yeah, just keep the good times rolling, and as Rob Edwards said, we just have to enjoy it and dream and hope, and it has been a start that's just been beyond anything I think we could have dreamt of. So yeah, I'm just going to stare at that league table for a fortnight now.
You do that, Matt. I'll join you. Tom, what's your key takeout from the week?
Yeah, that makes three of us staring at the league table for the next fortnight, because I came out of the Riverside yesterday and I was like, I can't quite believe what I'm seeing from Boro team. Like, what best start of a season in 31 years? I've been one the last time we did this, so obviously I can't remember that, but after many years of supporting Boro and being used to the pain of supporting Boro in general, I couldn't quite believe it yesterday. I mean, I had a bit of regret leaving my seat as early as I did after the match, because like I sat on the end of a row, so I was like, all right, I can get straight down and avoid queuing to get out. And I was stood in the concourse, and I heard the atmosphere upstairs, and I was like, you know what? I should have stayed up there and soaked it in. And I think that's what I'm going to do from now on, if that carries on, because listening to it, and I mean, obviously went back up to the middle bit to kind of like just see it and stuff. It was like we're not 4 games into a season. It was like that is towards the end of the season, and we're celebrating like that. There does seem to be a real change in terms of this team. As Matt said, some of the play was fantastic, but then, yeah, the fans seem really, really on board with this team, and I'm starting to believe in them now. I don't want to allow myself to fully believe with in what's going on, because, like I say, I've been hurt too many times before by Boro, but yeah, I'm going to Preston away in a couple of weeks, and if we get something similar there, then yeah, I might allow myself to kind of get carried away a little bit.
Yeah, and I think just to round things off, I'm going to say that it just feels really good to be a Middlesbrough fan right now. Obviously, the 4 wins in a row makes that completely understandable. But I also think about how I felt about Middlesbrough towards the back end of the season, and how frustrating it was to come to the Riverside and leave often feeling disappointed. And I always stay back, even though I'm on the radio and I have to make it to the other side of the stadium. But I always stay back to appreciate the post-match atmosphere. And yesterday was, I've never really known that early on in the season. It was really good to just soak that in. I was making my way down to the concourse, but then I just took a step to the side and just stood there, and obviously not getting in people's way, so that I could just soak it all in. And it was really good. The South Stand was, I don't think many people had left, to be honest, after the game, and just seeing that was brilliant. And it just shows that, as I said, it's really nice to be a Middlesbrough fan right now. I remember when Rob Edwards was appointed and we did our reaction podcast to that, I asked 3 questions. I kind of put 3 questions out in the open. One of them was, are Boro performing better? The other one was, are they posting slightly better results, at least to start with? And the third one was, are we seeing a lift under Rob Edwards? And honestly, tick, tick, tick on all of them. We're performing better. We are posting way better results, not even slightly better results. And we've seen a lift under Rob Edwards. And this is all we wanted to see. Obviously, all of us came into the season with reservations about this team, but even with that in mind, it's brilliant to see us performing the way that we are and getting the results that we are as well. Let's speak about the latest result that we got then, Sheffield United. A goal from Tommy Conway on 64 minutes proved decisive and earned Boro their 4th win from 4 games, meaning we're the only side in the Championship to have a 100% record so far. Guys, how was that afternoon? It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, I said last week on the podcast, I wanted to see an improvement with our home form. That was the one thing I was sort of hoping to see. And we absolutely got that yesterday. I thought we were the team on the front foot. We were the team taking the game to Sheffield United. I mean, let's not pretend Sheffield United weren't absolutely dreadful at the same time, because they were. I think on paper, coming into the season, you'd think they'd be the toughest of the 4 oppositions that we'd come up against. They were the worst, I think, yesterday. But even then, I thought we were very good going forward. I enjoyed watching us. I thought we attacked in different ways, which was really good to see. You know, sometimes we'd have long diagonals to the wing back. Sometimes we'd play through Hackney and Morris. And I just liked the versatility of how we were playing. But the other thing that I really liked, and this is what I've wanted from Boro, as I keep saying, we looked like we could have been there all week and we would just not have conceded. I mean, we were so solid at the back. And all 3 of the centre-backs are outstanding. But I think when you're that good at the back, and when our midfield is the best in the Championship, you're always going to have a chance. You just need that forward line to click. You just need that little bit of quality, I guess. And that was the one thing we were lacking, I would say, in the first half. I thought we got into some good areas. The final ball just wasn't quite there. You know, some crosses were just into an area where there wasn't a Boro player. So it was that little bit of quality in the final third that I think we were just lacking in the first half. But we absolutely deserved and warranted the lead. It was a great goal when we got it. I mean, Matt Targett's ball, I was having dreams about it last night. It was just so good. But then once again, you know, even after we took the lead, deservedly so, 7 minutes went up and I was a bit like, where the hell have they got that from? But I still felt calm. I just thought they're going to manage this. You know, again, in the corner, drawing fouls, clearing the lines, making, you know, not giving Sheffield United a sniff, not putting ourselves at risk of making an error, just seeing the game out. And I think, as I say, the only gripe was that we should have made it 2. I think Delano Burgzorg would have been lynched in Middlesbrough Town Centre if we'd not won that game yesterday, because of how many huge openings he just kept fluffing over and over again. I mean, he got himself into great positions, but his decision-making had me pulling my hair out. I think the guy in front of me, I was going to pull his hair out. The guy behind me, he's bald, but I was going to pull his hair out. I just thought, my God, honestly, Burgzorg, I don't think I'd have ever forgave him. But we saw it out, another good win, a well-deserved win. And the atmosphere to boot was just tremendous. So every time I want to see something more from Boro, we keep delivering it. I wanted to see improvements. We're getting that. We're getting better as well. So, yeah, I don't know what the potential of this team is, but I'm really enjoying seeing us just bit by bit get better and better every single game.
Yeah, I think for me, the fact that I'm enjoying watching these games as well. Like, I thought I was at some wins last year, but every game has been different, and you know, we've seen different things from Boro, and it's been really enjoyable to watch. What I will say, like, there seems to be more spells from opposition at this point than we would have had under Carrick, but we weather them well, and we defend against them well. Like you say, Matt, we could have been there all day yesterday and not conceded, because Sheffield United didn't ever look a threat. What I really love watching about this team as well is the pressing. The fact that when an opposition player gets the ball, especially near their box, they seem to have about 3 Boro players around them within seconds who are chasing the ball and winning it back. And it's not something I'd ever kind of really considered that I wanted to see from a team. But the more I'm seeing it, the more I am really enjoying it. And then couple that with the fact that we've got some really, really good passing play at times. It's a joy to watch. And, you know, 4 games into the season, I really hope we can see that for another 42, because it's, like I say, really, really enjoyable to watch. And it's quite refreshing from Boro team as well.
I want to echo what you've said there, what both of you have said. I really enjoyed that from Boro. I actually really loved it. We had the quality when it mattered with that decisive goal. Beautiful first time through ball from Matt Target and a wonderful finish from Tommy Conway, has to be said. And then we dug in when it mattered as well. And I think what epitomised that was in the first half, where Sheffield United played Louis Barry down their left-hand side, and Aidan Morris tracks back probably about 40 yards and goes shoulder to shoulder with Louis Barry and just shepherds the ball out for a goal kick. And then his reaction to that was to G up the south stand and kind of pat his chest with just this kind of eternal passion, if you will. And I really liked that reaction to the action. And Morris had a bloody brilliant game yesterday, it has to be said. Again, just performing so unbelievably, notably and brilliantly in Middlesbrough colours. And yeah, we obviously should have scored more. I think it was a performance that deserved a much larger margin of scoreline than it did have in the end. I think that Sheffield United have both Japhet Tanganga, who was brilliant, by the way, for them, and Delano Burgzorg to thank for it not being more than a goal to the good for Boro. I think we exploited their rather loose structure really well. And if you listen to the opposition preview with Ollie in the build-up to the game, and him basically saying that structurally there's issues at Sheffield United, and particularly in that midfield, it was very evident yesterday, because you've got Callum O'Hare and Gus Hamer and Sidney Peck in that midfield three, but O'Hare and Hamer are positioned much more advanced to Sidney Peck. So basically they were trying to either cut off the passing lane to Aiden and Hayden, or they were trying to press on them as soon as they got the ball and essentially stop that distribution from them, because they're so pivotal to Middlesbrough's midfield. It's really no surprise that a team would look to target them and stop the kind of build up from the source. But we bypassed that so easily because we were able to pick pockets in behind Hamer and O'Hare. They were so porous. They had more holes in the crumpet, Sheffield United. It was a ridiculously just really lapse and loose performance from them. We were able to pick up space between the lines and in key pockets, and able to play through them and around them. And in terms of us, I mean, you have to say Sheffield United were poor, but we exploited that. It's one thing the opposition performing poorly, but it's another thing actually targeting that and exploiting that successfully. And Boro did that. Okay, at times in the first half, we didn't quite have that quality. And I think we just needed that final ball, that final refinement in that quality. And it eluded us a little bit. But I always felt in the first half that we were on the scent of something. And then when we did manage to break through, came at a really important time for us, because Sheffield United were building up a little bit of momentum. That was all it really needed, that game. And yeah, the doggedness at parts in that game, and really digging in and winning those tackles, winning those 50-50s, those being quick to the loose balls. It was a really good performance that I really enjoyed. I was so engaged on that football match. It was brilliant. And yeah, another win, 4 in a row, only 1 goal conceded. You can't really complain too much, can you? It's been a brilliant start, and that was a really good performance that I really enjoyed from Boro. But Tom, there was a refereeing incident, and you are the guy that we always come to for the refereeing incidents. The first half did see a notable challenge on Sammy Silvera from Sidney Peck. The referee only gave a yellow for that. What were your thoughts on that challenge and that decision?
You know what? I know why this has come to me for this question, right? And what type of reaction you were expecting from me. When that first happened, my immediate thought was red card. And I said in our group chat at the time, because I'm over the other side of the pitch from that, watch me get like really riled up thinking this is a red card, and it turns out like he's not touched him, or this is a yellow or something like that. And then Matt replied in the group saying that looked definitely a red. I had people like friends who were watching the match at home messaging in different group chats saying that was a red all day long. So I'm like, right, I need to watch this. As soon as I get signal, I'll watch it. I watched it after the match. I was like, how the hell do you give a yellow card for that? Like, in real time, it looked horrific. In slowed down, it looks worse. Like, how? And it's bad as well, because towards the end of the game, I was thinking to myself, like, other than that one decision, I haven't minded this ref today, because there's been a lot of like shoulder to shoulder stuff, like a lot of stuff that I feel that other refs would have pulled Boro up on, and it would have disrupted the game and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe he actually got that decision right. And then I went home and watched it. I was like, no, that's absolutely horrific. Like, it's not go and find a job in the dark horrific, but he definitely, it needs kind of flagging to him by whoever his bosses are and be like, look, you've missed a studs up tackle on Silvera there. I agree. I think it might have been Warnock that said it on Sky Sports. I've seen the video this morning. He's like, "Oh, that's a potential ankle break." Yeah, it was. Like, how on earth are you allowing that, giving a yellow card for it, and allowing him to stay on the pitch? Like, it was just a horrendous decision. And yeah, as much as I was happy with a lot of the, shoulder to shoulder stuff that he let go, because at the end of the day, it's a contact sport. It's not that much of a contact sport. You can't be going around doing that. So yeah, it was definitely a red, and it was a horrendous decision from the referee to not send him off. And ultimately, we should have been playing against 10 men for a lot of that game.
I've just watched it back, and it's one of those where you just wince looking at the contact of the foot on the ankle. And Silvera was in the wars yesterday because he also got another late challenge from Andre Brooks on him, and then he got a whack on the head before half time. I'm surprised he wasn't seeing stars like a cartoon. I felt sorry for him. I was like, can someone check on Sammy Silvera? Like, is he okay? Because obviously he went in at half time and then didn't come back out. He was seen after the full-time celebration. So he is, I'm assuming, okay. But yeah, that was a horrendous challenge from City Peck. It's 1,000% a red card. And I do not know what the referee saw. Like, in like the ground, I was thinking that's 100% a red. Everyone around me, 100% a red. And then it took so long for him to brandish a card. And then I was thinking, okay, the longer that this goes on, the more likely chance it's a yellow. And then when he did brandish the yellow, I was thinking, City Peck, you are a lucky boy. Because I just saw Sammy Silvera go flying. And I was like, that's reckless.
Just to add on to it, I watched a TikTok video this morning. It was actually a Norwich fan who was commenting on it. And I mean, you know it's bad. I mean, I checked on Twitter after the game. Sky Sports had a video up of it, and you had like all these neutral fans, like Villa fans and stuff like that, saying, how on earth is that not a red? But you had this Norwich fan on TikTok saying, what's the difference between that and Jacob Wright's red card last week? And he said, if anything, Peck's is actually a worse challenge. And yeah, I agree with that. Like, and it does show the inconsistency in refereeing in this league, which has always been there. And I don't even know what the solution is at this point, other than, more training for the referees. But even so, is that going to make a difference? Yeah, I think with that type of stuff, it's the type of thing where VAR would be a help to them. But then, there's other issues with VAR, and I know people wouldn't necessarily want that brought in. So yeah, it's a tough one to try and resolve, but it is highlighting the level of inconsistency of referees in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that it didn't negatively impact Boro in the end, that we did manage to get the win. But it is still, even regardless of the result, a talking point, and it was a horrendous challenge that deserved a red card. But we move on from that. Matt, again, Rob Edwards made changes. He made early changes, actually 2 at half time. Sammy Silvera and Son Jansen came off for Matt Targett and Sven Ipan. Is this one of the most refreshing differences from last season, that there's proactivity on the touchline?
Yeah, 100%. And, a compliment to this season's coaching team is not an insult to the previous regime at all. But that was one of the biggest frustrations. And to see a manager make not 1 but 2 changes at half time, it's just fantastic to see that we've clearly got a coaching team who are, proactively looking at the game, reading the game, looking at how we can improve. And it doesn't matter if it's half time, 60 minutes or whatever, they're trying to change the game. And even though I think Edwards said after the game, Hansen was only going to ever get 55 minutes, I think he said maximum, due to training and him getting up to speed with sort of Boro's intensity and how we're playing. And obviously Silvera had been battered for the first half pretty much.
Yes.
Bless him. Maybe there were two more enforced changes, but you can't complain when the two players he brings on were directly involved in the goal. I know Tom's going to chat about him in a minute, but Nipan just looks $1 million. I mean, wow. I was love watching him yesterday. I mean, his turn and ball at target. And as we said, Target's ball was incredible. To pick that out first time, the weight of pass, outstanding. So, regardless of the reasoning behind the changes, Edwards deserves immense credit for bringing them on at half-time. He could have quite easily hung on, waited, let the game drift. I know we saw that a lot last season when even we could see in the stands changes clearly need to be made for whatever reason. We let the game drift to 70, 75 minutes. The biggest one I remember last season was Millwall. I think the game was relatively even. Half-time, they made 3 changes, I think, or they'd made 4 changes before we'd even made 1 and they went and scored.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's just so good to have trust in the coaching team, to see that they are trying to proactively, take the game to the opposition and utilising our squad as well. It's a great compliment to the bench we have as well, and the players we've brought in, that we can make these changes. And even if they don't come off, I think our fans will just appreciate that we've got a coaching team who are trying to change things and improve things instead of just letting the game drift. So it might not always come off, but when it does, they deserve immense credit. And to see them both link up and create the goal yesterday is great. So it's one of many great things that I'm really liking about what Edwards and his team are bringing to the table. And they deserved the rewards from that yesterday. It was really good to see. And long may it continue.
On the changes that he made at halftime, Edwards said afterwards, "We felt that Sver would help us connect the midfield and 10s and get them involved because of his quality, Sver's quality." He then said about Matt Target, it was about his balance with the left foot, and stepping into the game with that left footer on that left side helped, and it definitely did for that the assist for the goal. Tom, we spoke briefly about Nipan there, and Matt mentioned him, that he looks $1 million. What did you make of his cameo off the bench yesterday?
I was impressed, but I think he really grew into the game. Obviously, not being able to see the Norwich game last week, I hadn't seen any of them in a Boro shirt just yet, other than the highlights. I think one of the first things that happened was he tried to go down the left-hand side and he just kind of got nudged off the ball quite easily, and it went out for a goal kick. And I was like, I hope he can work on that side of his game, like the physicality. I hope he's not just going to get shoved all over the place by Sheffield United here. And then, proved me wrong straight away, because he was difficult to knock off the ball for the rest of that half. It seemed like he just kind of learned from that straight away, which is also something you really want to see in a player. Good with both feet, did seem to contribute a lot to the creation of chances. So I think there's a lot more to come from him, and I'm excited to see it. It's just going to be, I guess, choosing between him and Hansen for the time being, and seeing who gets most of the game going forward. But impressed, and really want to see more in the coming games.
I like his profile. I like that he is, as Rob Edwards said there, a connector between the 10s and then the midfield, because I remember the first 2 games of the season, we were seeing too big of a gap between Hayden and Aiden, and then the attacking kind of trio. And just to have somebody that is that blend of a number 8 and a number 10, have that kind of hybrid type player, is really good and really important, just to be able to tighten that gap, condense that gap between the two of them, between those lines. And one moment I really liked from him was he stopped a counter-attack. We had a really poor, has to be said, short corner. Andy Hinchcliffe was saying it was the worst short corner he's ever seen. And I'm thinking, you have not seen many short corners, mate, because I've seen worse than that, Jesus. But we played it and it just didn't work. The ball was played behind Aidan Morris as he was trying to advance, and then they counted on us. And I love this. I don't feel like it's common in football games, but I love when there's a counter-attack and it's stopped before it can really, really get going. When you see the crowd are like, go on, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, crunching tackle, there we go. Shove your corner up your backside. Like, that was what Nipan did. It was a brilliant challenge on, I can't remember who it was at that point. Might have been, I can't remember who it was. I'm not even going to guess. But it was a brilliant challenge just to stop the counter-attack there. So I really like that moment from him, and hopefully he can grow into this Middlesbrough team, because the only thing I'd say about him, he's got too similar a hair to Hayden Hackney, and I did get the two mixed up against Norwich. So if one of them can, I don't know, shave it off, get a mohawk or something, that'd be great.
Yeah, another moment I was just going to mention as well, he made a big block towards the end of the game, which Edwards alluded to afterwards. I don't know who it was who took the shot. I think it was just on the edge of the area. He made a really big block, and I didn't notice this at the time, but Edwards said he celebrated that with Callum Britton like it was a goal, and that's another thing I really like. You know, he's an 18-year-old kid, he's an attacker, he's a gifted footballer, but he's enjoying and buying into that side of the game just as much. And I think that tells you a lot about this Boro team. There was a photo of Alfie Jones as well from the game, and the defenders are celebrating tackles, and as you mentioned with Morris, they're enjoying that side of the game too, and to see all of the players buying into that, I think is really, really good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the many reasons why that game was so good yesterday, because it really taps into the emotion of football fans. I think all football fans just want to see their team and the players that are representing their football club give their absolute all, and seeing little actions like that where they're going in for challenges, they're tracking back and they're celebrating it is, I don't know, it fulfills the football fan in me, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, that was another good reason to like that game yesterday. The goal itself that earned Boro the win, I think the timing of it, as I mentioned earlier, was so important, because at the start of the second half, I think Sheffield United was starting to build up a little bit of momentum with their possession. It didn't really result in too much. They lacked a bit of punch, and I think that's massive credit to Middlesbrough and their structure and basically shutting off the avenue. It wasn't until Sam McCallum had a chance 94 minutes deep into stoppage time where I was thinking, we've maybe opened up a little bit of space there. Danny Ings also had a chance where we probably allowed them a little bit too much space, and he had a shot on the edge of the box, which fortunately for us, I think it was deflected wide. But really enjoyed that we just stunted their momentum. Any momentum that they were building up, and they were, because I could hear it from the left-hand side of me, the Sheffield United fans were starting to increase in volume, and they maybe sensed that they were on the cusp of something, be it a chance, an opening, a goal potentially. And the way that this comes about, it's so indicative of Sheffield United yesterday, because Nipan receives the ball from Morris in space, between the lines, completely porous Sheffield United structure, far too easy just to be able to connect and break the lines, basically. And this is why we were so good at playing through them and then around them, because you see it goes from the centre of the pitch out wide. And again, key theme of this goal was space. Matt Targett receives it in space. He's got far too much time probably more time than he actually probably knew he needed to play that first time ball. And it's so brilliantly weighted for Tommy Conway to run onto. And that finish from Conway is really good as well, by the way, because it's his left foot. And I've seen Tommy Conway a bit reluctant to use his left foot at times. He sneaks it past Michael Cooper, and there's Tyler Binden coming in trying to make that last ditch block. And it manages to land in the back of the net. The raw from the Riverside was absolutely fantastic. He knee slides, starts off so well, Tommy. He started so well, and then he just knocks himself off balance, and it's rather whimsical in the end. So in terms of a knee slide rating, that's the first knee slide club entry of the season, by the way. It's a 6 or a 5, but we'll probably pop it on Twitter what we actually think as a collective. But really important goal, because as I said, Sheffield United were building up some momentum, and that just silenced their away fans and stop that momentum from being built up even further. So, yeah, really like that goal.
Just in terms of the momentum and the away fans kind of finding the voice and stuff, something I noticed, and I can't remember if this was before or after the goal, but it was when, and I don't know who it was that went down injured as well, but one of the centre-backs had tried to pass out to the full-back, did it about 5 yards behind him, and then he just kind of hit the deck. And
it was Godfrey.
Yeah,
it was Godfrey.
So while that was going on, I think it might have been Peck, was gesturing to the Sheffield United fans and trying to get them to increase the volume and stuff. And I do wonder if this is already a kind of effect that is in place from us switching the halves that we're playing in this year. because I know there was talk around the time where it was decided that, you know, this is so that the teams aren't shooting towards their own fans in the second half, and it saps the momentum a little bit. I do wonder if maybe that's having an effect there. And it's 2 games and it's hard to tell. And it's especially hard to tell when Sheffield United are bottom of the league and playing dreadfully. But I think maybe the fact that Sheffield United couldn't hear them at all when they're going down the pitch, I do wonder if that's already a positive effect for us that we're seeing from doing this.
Yeah, he was gesturing after they were singing "You're Getting Sacked" in the morning, which could easily happen. I mean, I see Ruben Sayers as the type of manager that just shouldn't be at Sheffield United, to be honest. A bit too big of a step, and structurally and individually yesterday, they were terrible. Like Harrison Burrows, I've seen a lot of hype and heard a lot of hype about him, particularly when he joined from Peterborough. He was terrible. He was so bad.
He was on the pitch. I forgot him and Callum O'Hare were on the pitch. O'Hare got subbed off, and I was like, I didn't realise he was playing.
Yeah, and that's the effect that they had individually. They were either anonymous or they stood out for all the wrong reasons. Like their fullbacks, it was almost as if they were playing with wing backs. And I guess that in certain times they were, because Ben Godfrey was moving to more of a centre back role, and they had a 3 with Tanganga, Bindon, and Godfrey. But the way that it was so easy to exploit them and attack them in behind, like Harrison Burrows and Andre Brooks. Like the tracking back was terrible, really poor. Just the basics, really. The desire, the appetite just wasn't there. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I'm not a Sheffield United fan, because I can understand why they were singing "You're Getting Sacked" in the morning. It really wasn't a good performance from them. But we have to kind of talk about this. It's the blot on the copybook, shall we say, of what was otherwise a really good, pristine performance from Boro. But much of the post-match chatter at least mentioned Delano Burgzorg's cameo. It wasn't the greatest sub-performance in the world, was it?
No, it was so frustrating. All he had to do was bury one of them chances and it would have capped off a fantastic day, and we'd be waxing lyrical about his impact off the bench, and it'd have been a nice 2-0, maybe even 3-0 win. My God. I lost my rag in the home end. Given how great our performance was, that was so frustrating. I mean, his runs were good. Some of the runs in behind he was making were good. It's exactly what you want from a sort of a substitute striker. I think Hackney played a beautiful through ball to him at one of them. There was so many. I think there was like 3 or 4 occasions to which he was played through. They all sort of merge into one. But there were times where I think there was a moment where he could have squared it to Sene. There was a moment where he should have shot, and he did that godforsaken ball roll he loves doing, switching on his left foot. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he leaves it too long. The shot gets blocked. And then there was an occasion where his shot got blocked, but it come back to him. So you think, right, have another one. But then he ball rolls again, and then it gets blocked again. And I'm like, for crying out loud, Delano. Like, I love his personality. And I think, he seems like such a great player to have in the dressing room. But my God, he is the most frustrating player on planet Earth. And I always think back to the lowdown you guys did when he joined, and the Huddersfield fan who jumped on at the time said exactly that. And I'll never forget the quote. He can equally dazzle as much as he can frustrate. And when their moments come off, he'll look great. But when they don't, I mean, you just want to grab him, don't you, and just shake him. It was so frustrating. It's just. I guess we can forget about it because we won the game. But my God, can you only imagine the the levels of frustration had they gone up the other end and scored? It would have been Rodrigo Muniz halfway shot against Watford levels of frustration. That's what it would have been like. He'd have had to have been like hurried out of the Riverside in the back of a van or something, so the fans couldn't get to him. It would have been just thank God it didn't. It didn't amount to anything. But Della, please, if you get a chance to shoot, mate, just bloody shoot, please. Just make the correct decision. Stop taking touches for the sake of it.
Yeah, my God, it's so Delano Burgzorg, it's untrue. And like the thing is I don't want to go in on him, but at the same time I want to be honest. He was visibly frustrated afterwards. He put on Instagram that he was frustrated himself. He should have scored. To me, he should have had an assist. The biggest moment of frustration was the first one that you mentioned where Hackney played him through, and he chops inside, and that's a good action actually. He dummies, he takes the defender out of the game. He just needs to play it off to Sen. That was all he needed to do. And in the end, he chops inside again, takes too many touches. And by the time that he plays the ball to Sen, he's not even set for it. And players have gotten back and they're protecting the goal. And the chance is basically gone. That for me was the biggest example of frustration from Burgzorg. It sums him up. He takes too many touches. He slows the game down and he makes the wrong decision. And this is where I'm really honest. I think obviously we are recording this on Sunday, and by the time that a lot of people are listening to this, the transfer window will be closed. He's one of those players that for me, I think Boro should look to move on. I think in terms of dependable output, he doesn't offer you that. I think too many times his quality wanes, and okay, he can get himself into good positions, he can hold the ball up well for Middlesbrough, but I think Delano Burgzorg is an example of a player that hard work can only get you so far, and it's your quality that will really dictate the opinion and dictate whether the post-match chatter about you is positive or negative. And I just think far too many times we've seen him be poor in his output. Like yesterday was closer to the norm than an abnormality in terms of Delano Burgzorg's traits within a game. As I said, far too often he takes too many touches, he slows the game down as a result, and he makes the wrong decision. So I really want to see him react to that. I'm assuming he will still be at the club come Preston away. I want to see him respond to that. It was against Preston actually that he scored a goal with a pretty nice ball roll type attribute that we usually see from him. So hopefully he can react. But my God, that was bloody frustrating yesterday.
I get the feeling that maybe he's not confident on his weaker foot, and that is like anything other than close control on his weaker foot, and that's the thing behind all the ball rolling. Also, a fun fact for anyone FIFA players listening: if you fake shot with Delano Burgzorg, he does that ball roll every time. He's the only player I've seen on the game who actually does that, so that's quite funny. But yeah, it just seemed a few times yesterday, and I think the pass that never was to Sene was one of them where it should have probably just been a simple pass on his left foot. But then I feel like all these touches are to get it back on his right foot. And then by that point, the chance is gone. So maybe that's something the coaching staff could work on with him and work on improving that part of his game, because I feel like he gets himself into those positions. If he just trusts himself a little bit more on that left foot and works on it, maybe he could be a little bit more effective.
Yeah, it's that inefficiency, isn't it, with his final ball that is really infuriating at times, too many times actually. And that's why I think if Boro are looking to improve those number 10 positions, in which you have to say we are fairly stocked, there's a number of players that can operate in those positions, but the quality for me has to be there for that position in particular. And with Burgzorg, I just don't really see it. His output is he's far too unpredictable with his output and unreliable. And I think that I hope he refines his game, but simply put, I think this is just Delano Burgzorg. I think this is just what he is. He can excite and he can do some really good actions with the ball at his feet, but similarly, he can also be a bloody nuisance and be a bloody irritant. But I still do like him. I just hope that he can respond, basically. But Tom, what were your early thoughts on Callie Sen? We mentioned him there. He came on for his Middlesbrough debut. What did you make of his cameo?
Yeah, looks good. I think he's still a bit raw on this stuff that he could be working on, but no, he looks quick, looks fairly strong. I can't remember if there was one point where he maybe could have had a shot or like could have done better with a shot. So I seem to remember him being in the position, but I can't remember what happened after that. I have to go back and rewatch the game, but look good. Looks a good kind of alternative to Tommy Conway and potentially Strelic. As you know, everything got reported after the game yesterday that we've made breakthroughs on him. If we are going forward in the season with those three as our striker options, that I think that puts us in such a stronger position. than we were last year. So yeah, I think he is looking like, and for 1.5 million fee as well, looking like he could be quite a smart pickup. And like I said, there's stuff he can work on, but I do get the impression with this coaching staff that they know what they're doing, and could they develop him into something better? I'm pretty sure they could do. So yeah, good start, and then more to come. Obviously, he didn't have too much time to make an impact, so it'd be interesting to see him more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, he's another one whose profile I quite like because he's an obvious unit. You can tell just by looking at him, but he's very quick as well. Like my dad, he got the ball down the Boro left-hand side, so close to the east stand, and my dad went, fucking hell, he can move. It caught me off guard. I was like, to be fair, he does seem pretty rapid. And yeah, 1.5 million, hopefully that's an absolute steal, because in terms of that profile, as I said, having that physicality to be able to hustle and bustle with championship centre-halves, but to be able to beat them in a foot race as well, potentially, is also very good. Matt, I just want to come to you on Sen, actually. What did you make of his cameo yesterday? Were you impressed by the kind of first glimpses of him?
Yeah, I thought he looked a nuisance. He was exciting. He was very quick. I recall him chasing a ball down the right-hand side, and I thought, bloody hell, he is rapid. And he is also, I think, someone who can hold a ball up as well. And I think he will be a pressing machine. So I think in terms of profile, I think he is absolutely what we need in a centre forward, a good alternative to help Conway manage the load. And yeah, I think the fee is fantastic for him. I think 1.5 million is, even in the Championship now, I think it's an absolute snip, really. So yeah, an exciting pickup. He's had a good start to the season in Switzerland, so I'm hoping he'll carry that into his Middlesbrough career as well. So yeah, there'll be a lot more to come from him, of course, as Tom alluded to. But so far, I'd say I like what I saw from him.
I liked a moment where it was after Burgzorg played that ball into him finally, and he sort of loses his balance. He ends up on the floor. He gets up straight away and is ready to press. And he slide tackles one of the Sheffield United players and then concedes a foul. I just think there was so much going on in that moment. And he is, from that very small glimpse, potentially one of those very involved forwards, both in possession and out of possession. So that's very good. Boro and that tweeted us afterwards saying, nice to see the new lad Sen is part of the Socks Down Club too. I noticed Hackney pulled them up yesterday, so he's just ruined the streak. Maybe that's why he played that short pass to Dale Fry when he conceded from it in the first half. To be fair, it was a brilliant recovery challenge from him. And that's something that Rob Edwards has said, actually. If you make a mistake, just recover from it. It's all about your response. Hackney made a mistake. His response was fantastic, even with his socks pulled up. Morris, to be fair, keeping the trend going. His socks were down yesterday. But guys, Rob Edwards stressed afterwards that fans should enjoy this and ride the wave. I'm just keen to know, how are we feeling about Boro right now, and are we riding the wave with Rob?
I was going to say I'm quite enjoying everything that's going on at the moment. As I said at the start of the show, I think in the coming games, if we continue to play like this, I am definitely kind of changing what I do at the end of the match and kind of sticking around, because I did feel like everything that happened after the game yesterday, it was getting to the point where the fans are as close to the team as we were in like the playoff season and the promotion season under Karanka. So if that continues, then everyone's going to want to be there. I can see us selling more tickets for games and stuff like that, because more people are going to want to be involved and be on the kind of journey. Loving the style of play at the moment and the fact that it's getting us results as well. I am probably, like I said at the start, someone who refuses to kind of get carried away. So I feel like I need a little bit more convincing than everyone. Not necessarily in terms of the play or anything. It's just because I don't want to get my hopes up and after the international break we lose to Preston. But yeah, I'm just kind of I feel like I need like a couple more wins before I'm like, fuck it, we're invincible and stuff like that. But yeah, really enjoying it at the moment. But in terms of riding the wave, I don't know. I hate this about myself, but I just refuse to let myself kind of get carried away with that type of stuff because of everything that's happened in the past.
Yeah, it's been a Boro fan, isn't it? You just can't allow it to get too. You can't allow yourself to get too excited, but you should absolutely ride the wave at the minute because I mean, the best winning run we mustered last season was 3 wins in a row, and that happened once. We've already won 4 in a row, so I absolutely, enjoy looking at the league table and just relishing Boro's start. I mean, yeah, there's going to be setbacks. We're not going to win every game, I think, but we're not. And there are going to be setbacks, and I'm going to be very intrigued to see how we react to them setbacks. I think that will be the one big test and the one big question mark, I guess, that will need answering because we haven't lost yet. We haven't even dropped a point. But for me, I think it's just having trust in this team. Like, I wanted us to build from the back. I wanted us to have that strong base because I think when you've got a defence that's as good as ours at the moment, and you've got that spine with the midfield too we've got, I think we're always going to have a chance. It's just a case of what we do at the top of the pitch. And that just makes me feel so much more reassured. And I just feel like we'll be in more games than we won't be, and we'll just have a chance in more games. So, yeah, we're going to obviously drop points, and we're probably, I still don't think going to be top 2. I still, I'm not going to get that carried away at all. But I think just to have these points banked up while a lot of the sides we thought would be up there are struggling, they've not got going at all. I think to have them points banked up and to just have the start we've had, it is an advantage. Even at this early stage, it is an important advantage that we've got. I've looked at the league table and I think we're 3 points clear of 3rd and 5 points clear of 7th. I mean, all I'm saying is that's a nice cushion.
Stop the count.
Stop the count. So yeah, even that at this stage, I think it's just important to have that cushion for when we inevitably do drop points. So yeah, enjoy it while still tempering your expectations, because just look at the badge and remember who we are and what club we are. It could fall apart, but for now, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I think football's so littered with just trying to contain your emotions because it's too plaggy or whatever to celebrate the small moments and the small wins. I say to hell with that. Just enjoy it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm riding the wave at the moment. Let's see what comes of it. I'm sure we will, as you mentioned, encounter some low moments. But as Rob Edwards said, we're going to endure low moments together. We're going to experience the highs together as well. And that's what it's all about. Right, let's move on then to the praising place. Yes, it is the praising place. This is a place that we dish out praise to literally anything that we want to. So this week, I'm sure it'll be just as packed as the first 3-4 podcasts of the season. But Matt, do you want to kick us off with who is in your praising place for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I could have put any of the centre-backs in, but I thought Jones was great again, as was Fry. But I think I want to give Luke Ayling a bit of praise. I think, firstly, it was his 600th career appearance yesterday, which is a fantastic milestone. And I just think since moving to right centre-half this season, he's just been a revelation. I mean, I think we were all maybe looking at Ayling and thinking, yeah, maybe his time at Borough's coming to an end. We were bringing in centre-halves, and he's not going to he's not going to probably suit wing back at this point in his career. And we all thought maybe this was naturally his, he's going to eventually just become a bench player, a depth player. But, my God, he's been unbelievably good at right centre-half. I mean, his reading of the game and some of the smart little touches he was doing in possession yesterday were just so good. Like his first touch, when he bring the ball down, he'd take their attacker out of play it in the midfield. I thought he was exceptional and has been. You can't not praise the midfield, but Aidan Morris, goodness me, he doesn't stop, does he? I mean, what the battery on that lad, the lungs he's got are insane. He was amazing again and has started the season just in top form. And I feel like I can't not praise the pass from Matt Targett. I mean, I wasn't particularly that up or down on the signing either way. I sort of just shrugged my shoulders and didn't really probably give it the credit it deserved. But that was a bit of Premier League quality that, to play that ball first time. it's fantastic from him, and obviously Conway with the finish too. And I also thought I took the fans in there as well, because I just thought, as I said, the atmosphere yesterday was just amazing, and I do feel like the fans played a big role in helping the team through that final phase of the game yesterday. And one moment I particularly enjoyed was when the Sheffield United fans started chanting Chris Wilder's name, and Boro fans replied by saying Chris Wilder is a anchor. So I particularly, wanker.
I'll say it.
He's a wanker. So
I was going to say, he's not a Stockton Town fan, Matt.
No, he's not. No. I hope not, anyway, because I don't mind going to Stockton games. But let's just say he is. Chris Wilder's a wanker, and I particularly enjoyed that response from the Boro fans yesterday as well. So for that moment alone, they deserve to be in the praise and place.
I'm going with me usual kind of 3 stars for praise and place. So 3rd star, I've got Hayden Hackney. I just think watching him and Aidan Morris in centre midfield, especially given during pre-season and maybe the first game, I was really unsure of how pivotal the centre midfield was actually going to be in this system. Those two are terrific to watch. And Hackney, although he made one mistake yesterday and, gave Tyrese Campbell a kind of half chance of scoring, the fact that he was head straight back up, got back, and then prevented that chance. Would we have seen as much from Boro players last year? I'm not so sure. 2nd star, Aidan Morris, not Hayden Morris. Aidan Morris, as Matt said, the lungs on him are just incredible. There was so many times yesterday where he's chasing back about 40 yards and you can see it, like his cheeks puffing while he's running, and I'm just like, how is he even gonna like carry on going? He must be knackered by the end of the match. And then you see like the content Boro put out afterwards of like everyone walking down the tunnel, and he doesn't look like he's broke a sweat. Like he's so good in that midfield role. And then 1st star for me would be Callum Britton. I just thought he had a outstanding game yesterday, and I think we're seeing more and more about what he has to offer. And probably a small underappreciated bit of play from Callum Britton yesterday is the fact that Luke Ayling would play a pass out to him, and Barry would go chasing Callum Britton. Callum Britton would immediately just play it back to Ayling like they were playing Piggy in the middle. And you could just see Louis Barry getting like, just his head was going down, his energy was getting sapped from chasing the ball. And it's just such a like small, clever thing to do to kind of like tire out that winger that you're marking and probably minimise his impact on the game. But then going forward, we're seeing a wider range of passing. We're seeing him get forward more, getting more crosses into the box, and he just looks like such an upgrade at right back / right wing back from last season. I thought he was great yesterday. Really enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was Callum Britton's best Boro performance so far, and hopefully more to come from him. Really liked his marauding runs down that right-hand side and linking really well with players on the inside of him. Just great appreciation of his teammates and link-up play. So that was a real positive. Again, agree on Aidan Morris in particular. I'm going to mention someone who no one's mentioned yet, and it's going to be Sol Bryn, because there were quite a few balls into the box yesterday that honestly, if Senny Dieng or Tom Glover was in goal, they'd have punched, they'd have flapped at it, they'd have made it a bit of an insecure situation and probably put Boro in a predicament, in all honesty. Sol Bryn, calm as you like, caught them every time with the exception of one in the first half where he doesn't quite get it, but he does manage to recover. And again, the recovery, brilliant, but just very calm and assured. And there's a lot of talk about Hull City's even Panda, and apparently that's just agent talk. That was what was said on Sky Sports yesterday. And good, because to be honest, Sol Bryn deserves the number 1 spot this season. I think he's not put a foot wrong. Okay, he's not really been tested that much, but I really enjoyed him when he played last season when Dieng was injured. And I do want to see him continue as Boro's number 1. Just a really solid, assured, confidence, confident performance yesterday. So I really want to put him in there as well. So yeah, a lot of good praise dished out again this week. And I don't know, anyone that's listening, please let us know who you would put in your praise place this week as well. But we're going to move on now to podcast questions. Yes, it is podcast questions. You could get us on email, borobreakdown@hotmail.com, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever. First question this week is from Rob Fletcher. He says, where do you think our chance creation will come from once all our new players are in and settled? Don't know who wants to take this one. Matt, I'll throw this one to you.
Yeah, well, like I said at the start, I think there's the potential for it to come from a number of areas, because I just like the versatility of how we attack. I think sometimes it'll come from the two in midfield, playing through the centre. I think we've also seen the wing backs are starting to become a lot more effective as well, whether it's building up down either side or just them long diagonals that we're playing. I think some of them balls were fantastic yesterday. You know, they were on, some of the diagonals to Britain were absolutely perfect. You know, the fantastic balls. And that
one from Alfie Jones. I think it was in the first half. One from Alfie Jones was brilliant. Just placed perfectly on the foot of Callum Britton. Long diag over the top.
Exactly. So we can, I think we've shown we can play over a team, we can play through a team, we can play around a team. We are just starting to see these little additions as we go. And I generally feel like, and that's not even mentioning the 210s in behind the striker. And then there's set pieces as well. I know it's calmed down a little bit. We've not been as prolific in the last game or two from set pieces, but I think we've seen enough that there's definitely improvements to come. There has been improvements from set pieces as well. So I think it's just really good to see that we're not one-dimensional. I think we can play in different ways and we can create in different ways. And we've got depth as well. Players coming off the bench who can do that. We saw that with Target. I'm sure Nipine will chip in and create. Hopefully Whittaker too. And then you've got Hayden and Aiden in behind. I mean, sod it. Bryn might even start chipping in with some assists. I don't know. I think there's the potential for them to come from everywhere.
Yeah, it's diversifying and adding layers to Boro's attack. I still want to see us create more from open play, but I think this is something that will hopefully come with Boro the more games that we play. So fingers crossed on that. Next question, final question, actually from Phil. He asks, why has Edwards and Cole been able to get more out of this group of players than Carrick? 5 out of the 11 today that started Carrick's last game, they look miles better. I'm going to kind of go first with this one. I think it's potentially a different culture. I think Rob Edwards has a different managing style than Michael Carrick, and that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's different strokes for different folks, right? But perhaps Rob Edwards' key principles that we were able to identify, if you listen to his interview with Jake Humphries on the High Performance Podcast, was about being proactive, aggressive, thinking forward, reacting to mistakes, as I've mentioned on this podcast already, leaving it all out there and enjoying it. Maybe they're just perfect little remedies to last season's Boro, who evidently wilted under Michael Carrick. So I did expect that there was going to be a lift, at least initially, from Carrick to Edwards, just because we were so down. We played like a team that had their heads down and confidence was low, and that we basically just come to the end of that particular managerial cycle under Michael Carrick. So I feel like anything different was going to be received pretty well. And Ian Morris said it in his post-match interview with BBC Tees that Rob Edwards has instilled this mentality with them whereby there's no complacency. And I think that it was probably a direct response to the Doncaster game, in all honesty, where I think Boro were probably complacent in that game. But a mere blip, I would say, because until me mentioning it there, I've forgotten about that Doncaster match. It's almost like it just didn't happen. So I think for me, this is it's something about the mentality of this team, I think. And you talk about formations and style of play, and of course that will make an impact as well. But having that buy-in straight away, I think, is really important. And yeah, I just think the way that Edwards approaches the game is maybe the perfect way for this team to buy in and get the best out of them so far. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you just highlighted it well there, the buy-in of it. I think when you're building any team and setting targets, the buy-in from the team is the most important part of it. You can have a manager comes and say, I expect this, we want to do this, but if the team aren't buying into it, then that's when you got issues. I feel like towards the end of last season, we spoke about it a lot. I never felt like there was like a rift in the team or they weren't together or anything like that, especially when things were going badly under Carrick. You could see it whenever things were going well. The team would always be celebrating together. Maybe when things weren't going so well, that's where we were maybe seeing things fall apart. But changing that mentality, getting the buy-in, and I'm even thinking maybe simplifying things a little bit. And I don't mean to sound like I'm like downsizing what Edwards has done, but I do remember that. And Dana, you might remember who this came from, but there was a quote that we'd heard that the style of play under Carrick, it took a lot of thinking, and it was something that mentally you needed to be strong with, and it was all about that kind of patience build up. I don't think for 1 second that Rob Edwards' style is kind of like less intelligent than that or anything like that, but it's different, and it is maybe simplifying things a little bit to the point where we're giving these players a little bit more freedom, but a little bit more freedom to be themselves, and what they've learned over the years. They're not learning a completely different style. They are doing what they're good at, and ultimately that's paying off throughout the team.
Yeah, it's building from a solid base first, I think, which is going back to the basics of football, I suppose, or what are perceived to be the basics of football. So yeah, I think it's a big play on mentality for me, and I'm not really surprised that we have enjoyed a lift, because simply put, I think Boro were on the floor last season under Michael Carrick. Confidence was low, as I said. Performances were poor. It was only up from Rob Edwards being appointed, and yeah, we've definitely seen that lift. But let's wrap things up here. Before I do that, I just want to give a few notes. Congratulations to Luke Ayling on his 600th career appearance. Happy birthday to Dale Fry for yesterday. Fantastic birthday present, that 1-0 win, clean sheet, brilliant. 30 years of the Riverside as well. And I also want to mention good luck to Middlesbrough women against Derby on Sunday, and next Sunday against Sunderland. Hopefully the lasses can do the job as well. If you would like to support the Boro Breakdown podcast, if you've enjoyed this episode, please do give it a like and comment. Give us a 5-star rating on your podcast providers, and you can donate on our Buy Me a Coffee, either a one-off donation or a monthly one. We will massively appreciate any money that you put towards this podcast. Until then, we will see you next week for a transfer review show. Actually, take care, enjoy the international break, and up the Boro Breakdown.